Welcome to Happy Homes and Gardens. I'm your host. My name is Daphne Royse. I am a real estate broker, architecture, and interior designer. Magic has always been a very popular form of entertainment, and Dan Chen is one of the most well-known celebrity magicians in the area. Dan is called Who is the Silicon Valley Magician and has performed for more than 30 major companies in the San Francisco Bay Area and beyond. Let's welcome Dan and learn about him and his magic talent. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Daphne, for having me on your show.
Please tell us who you are and what inspired you to become a magician.
Well, I am a native Bay Area resident, born in San Francisco and now residing in Fremont, California. I was inspired by the magic shop on 9th and Irving, Misdirection's magic shop. When I passed by, I found out that he had a lecture series and you could actually learn magic from the masters themselves.
And you had a normal job just like everyone else after college. Why did you switch your careers to become a full-time magician?
Honestly, I didn't even know if I really wanted to go to college. I was doing that to placate my mom. With Asian parents, you'll never hear the end of it if you don't listen to them. So I worked at PayPal for 13 months. I joined pre-IPO. In fact, I joined before Elon, and he left 6 months after he was hired. So I stayed there longer than him, and he was a co-founder. But in any case, at 13 months, I was laid off, and I wasn't passionate about the work I was doing. And I just decided that, this side hustle would become my full-time hustle. And I love figuring out the tricks. And I wouldn't figure out the tricks immediately. Sometimes it was a journey. You'd see something different, a variation, and you got kind of piece together pieces of the puzzle.
Was that a challenge for you?
Yeah, not knowing what's ahead of you is a challenge because the uncertainty creates sometimes some nervous energy, and you're also not sure if you're going to succeed in this. It's almost like startups and venture capital. You're not sure, so you're rolling the dice and you're working as hard as you can to deliver value to your clients and really connecting with them and building relationships.
There are a lot of creativities and collaborations in magic. What inspired you to incorporate more surprise in your magic?
Yeah, I love watching movies and other performers. My wife and kids surprise me in different ways. And when I become surprised, I like to surprise people as well. You want to live an inspired life, and what inspires you, you want to incorporate some of those things into the magic. So there's a question I ask people that really helps me determine where I'm going, that really makes me rethink what I'm doing. The question that I ask people in a networking situation is, if we were to celebrate something 5 years from today, what would we be celebrating together? And you can really tell a lot about another person. And obviously afterwards, sometimes people will tell you something very specific. And at that point in time, I'm like, boy, I'm going to follow this guy's career. I'm going to keep in touch with them because that's where they're going. And a lot of other people, you still keep in touch with them, but I'll ask them that question again the next time we meet. And sometimes those people have thought more of that. And they're like, and a lot of times people think that something's not possible, so they don't pursue it. So I have to preface that with, if there were no limitations and you wouldn't put any limitations on yourself or your abilities, what would it be? And that's kind of like dreaming like a kid. What would you do if you were a kid? And even if you don't become an Olympic skier or something like that, you might decide, hey, maybe I'll give myself the chance to buy a season pass this year, or something to that effect. At least you can move one step closer to your goal versus just completely giving up on your goal.
I know you had experience at the restaurant Petit Coin. I believe that Dominic Quinn was one of the Michelin star chef. You also a foodie. Do you use magic in cooking or food?
Yeah, I own BayAreaDinnerShow.com, where we merge magic and a fine dining experience. Recently, we've partnered with Californios and Nice, which are both starred restaurant. Californios is a two-star restaurant, Nice is a one-star restaurant. We also did something with 8 tables. But in upcoming collaborations, we're creating food illusions. So it looks like, if you look at my TikTok, Millionaire's Mentalist, you'll see this thing that looks like an egg, but it's actually a mango, spherified mango with coconut pudding on the outside. And we're doing some other cool things like producing a dove and making this dove appear. And in the past, I served dove, but a lot of people aren't a fan of that idea. But I would just make a dove appear, and then make an egg appear, and then we would serve a dish like steamed egg, custard, or shawarmushi, or even sous vide eggs, or something simple like that. And we're constantly exploring. And we do have a couple partnerships coming up. I don't want to announce it yet, but if you go to Bay Area Dinner Show, you can join our mailing list and also check out some of the things that we're about to do.
Oh, how nice. So how often do you do that?
Whenever I have time, I'm trying to do something with these mailing lists and say, hey, whenever like this week I'm free on a specific date, I'll just add a date to my mailing list or some partners' mailing list. So they'll be like, stay tuned, because I mainly make my living, a good living, doing corporate events. But on the days that I'm free, I'd like to keep a little bit busy, but I can't block out things really far in advance. So we release these dates and also keep it quite affordable, because a lot of these clients sometimes want to see me again at a more affordable situation.
Understand. What kind of trick do you do about food? Other than mango and eggs?
Okay, yeah, let's do this. Are you ready for something? I'm going to need you to help me with this.
Okay.
I'm going to have you think of your favorite food. And I don't want you to discuss this, either favorite food or favorite restaurant, okay? Don't say anything, okay?
Okay, I think a favorite restaurant will be easier for me.
Okay,
I won't tell you. Yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite restaurant? Go ahead and say it out loud.
You say don't tell you.
You can tell me now. I've committed.
French Laundry.
French Laundry. How many times have you been there?
Twice.
I met Thomas Keller at Pebble Beach a while ago, and okay. It's really interesting. I thought that you would say French Laundry.
Oh my gosh! How did you guess that?
You're a big foodie.
I am. I love to eat. I eat everything.
Yeah. I heard that's a great experience. I've been to Ad Hoc. I also been to 11 Madison Park, but I haven't been to the French Laundry just yet. So maybe we'll have to go together sometime.
Oh, love to. I love companies.
Yeah. Was it difficult to get your reservation at the French Laundry?
I had a little help.
We'll have to talk later.
Okay. Okay. That was shocking that you actually, it takes about 5 seconds and you can read my mind.
Yeah.
About what is magic and how you do differ from other ancient magic or street magic.
Yeah, magic is like, well, magic can be done on stage. It can be done as walk around or street magic, but we also have mentalism. So mentalism is more about mind reading, right? Like you just experienced. And magic that happens in your mind is different than, oh, I'm going to make a card appear or a dove appear or something appear. It's look about me. When you talk about this, you're like, when you retell it, it's Dan was somehow knew what I was thinking about. He knew what my favorite restaurant is or public place. And I have different methods and also different versions of this trick. Like what you see live is different, but it's very engaging just as much. So I'm focused more on mentalism because now it creates a connection because we could talk about skiing or other things. I can get to know you a lot better, and that creates a deeper connection versus, oh, I'm just showing off for you, almost like a juggler. Yeah.
My reading, how do you learn that? Grab onto the idea. So how do you read people's mind?
Can't tell you. It's a secret. If I did that, you'd take my job and you'd know how to do this, and you'd be performing this for your friends. And what I do wouldn't be unique just yet. Although I do teach lower level things, but if you do have some real sincere interest in performing, I'm happy to teach the right student, but they have to be the right student with the right motivations and the right work ethic. Yeah.
And are there certain type of show you would like to perform more than others, and why?
Yeah. I like when people come to me to see a show versus like when I go to their party, they're playing host. Like if I do a wedding, they're like all worried about inside a lot of other things, so they can't relax to watch something. And they, even if they relax to watch me for 5 minutes, maybe that's the most, but I want them to feel the whole experience of just coming to an event and not worrying about their guest. You know, when you throw host a party, you're like, is there enough food? You're looking back and forth. And when you're doing that, it creates a lot of tension. And I feel like you can't relax and enjoy the show. So when people come to me at a dinner show, or eventually me having a venue, so I might have to talk to you about your architectural skills and your design skills, because I do have a project where I want to build something in the Bay Area, merging fine dining and a magical experience that people haven't seen. Like you think of magic, and a lot of times people don't realize where magic has gone, because what you see on television is very different than what you see live, and you experiencing it right here with the French Laundry versus you watching a video of me doing it to someone else is different, because you're going to remember that longer because it happened to you versus it happening to another person, because that story now integrates you into the story. It integrates your thought, and that is a lot more memorable than watching a video. And that's why I'm so passionate about even Zoom events, because there's that happy medium between not having to drive to the airport then fly to South Africa. Now I'm doing shows and interviews with people online. And I thought the pandemic was great for me to open up my mind and think about a new venue, because I was so set in doing live events. And I never got on Zoom to do interviews. But since then, I've probably done about 40 podcasts. And it's increased my ability to speak, but it's also increased the ability of my reach. And I always think about Silicon Valley and scale. How do you scale something? In the past, people didn't think about scaling a magic show beyond what could be done live. When the pandemic hit, I did 52 shows in a week, 12 shows in a day, 8 shows back to back on the half an hour. I'm still doing shows from my house in this home studio. And it's kind of created that Silicon Valley mindset about scaling and going to market. And in the past, I thought of it, but I never anticipated how far I could reach people. I'm doing congressmen really far off. And these are events that normally I would have to charge $5,000 for to fly across the coast, which I've done in the past. But now I can do a show for 500 or 1,000 or over Zoom for smaller gatherings, and it still makes sense.
Is that your home studio behind you?
Yeah, this is one iteration of the studio. So we have these backdrops, and even this right here is an illusion right behind me.
Okay. I do have a question on that. Why every time I see magic, they always use a similar color or like a dark color, just like what you have? Is any reasons?
Yeah, there is, but I'm not going to tell you on the podcast. As a friend, I can tell you a little bit more later,
Okay.
just because we're friends. But for you, The people who aren't in the inner circle, we can't share that. Okay.
Okay, that's just my curiosity.
There is something to that, and I can tell you about that later.
Okay, all right. And so when you perform in person or virtually, do you use the same metrics or you do differently on different scenarios?
I'm trying to build a show that's very similar in parallel, but the methods are different. So the business card trick that you just saw, I created a Zoom version, but that Zoom version doesn't translate well in the live version. So I've created a live version as well. So you can see both different versions of this same trick, but it's actually not the same trick technically. There's some different things about it. I believe I showed you that maybe at the party we met at. I might have shown that to you with the business card. Yeah, not sure.
Not sure either. I know you have performed for many tech companies
Yeah.
in the Silicon Valley. Is your magic science based? Can those top-notch engineers decode your magic secrets?
Yeah, people try reverse engineering everything because smart audiences try to figure things out. But based on my hiring back ratio and based on um, just how in demand I am, I'm pretty sure most of what I'm doing that people aren't figuring out, or it's taking them a long time. So hopefully by the time someone figures something out, we've already got to the next level doing something more complicated on the different level of magic. So yeah, people do figure some small things out, but those are the things that leave the show. Those are the things I get rid of because I want to constantly evolve and I want them to be surprised.
Okay. I know there's a place called Magic Castle in Los Angeles. Can you tell us about this magical place? Do we have another place like a Magic Castle in California or other part of the country?
Well, the Magic Castle is a really magical place. You say open sesame to an owl, and then the bookshelf slides to the side. And there are many celebrities that go there often. Former members included Johnny Carson, Neil Patrick Harris, who's the Doogie Howser MD, for some of you who don't know that. Jason Alexander, who's the George Costanza on Seinfeld. He actually performed at the Magic Castle. He's actually he was an amateur magician for a while, and I guess he's like a semi-pro now. So he can actually be booked for events, but not many people know that because he's more famous for being on Seinfeld. So there's nothing like that in the Bay Area, and I would love to create a private venue or private, semi-private venue where people could enjoy a public space in the front, and in the back there would be a museum as well as a private theater. And I wanted to create something like that. There's a couple of pieces of locations or pieces of real estate I'm looking at, but the thing is, big ventures like that take funding, and it also takes a team. So right now I'm assembling the team so that when we execute and we ask the right people, that we can really execute on this vision. The Magic Castle had a lot of celebrities, and there was one part that I was going to talk about. Like in the front, I was thinking of a facade, like, and David Copperfield has a museum, and it looks like a men's shop, right? It looks like a clothing shop. And I've been to places where they had something like a laundromat, but I was thinking like an ice cream shop arcade, because everyone can go to that, and the guy you hire in the front could be a teenage kid scooping ice cream and doing simple magic tricks. But to hold a whole audience, it's very hard to do a 45-minute show. But I wanted to benefit the community, for the people who aren't going to pay the really, really big bucks to go behind the scenes to be a member. They might just buy a ticket to the show, but they're not going to go into the museum, because there's one very valuable items I want to put in there that are one of a kind, very historic items. So it was going to be the front being public and the back being a museum for members only, and in a theater that we could sell ticketed shows to on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, or on demand. So yeah.
For your museum, are you going to offer like maybe a small classes how to do magic?
Maybe in the beginning, because I feel like we want to utilize the space. And maybe we might have a component if the clients want that. We may put some of that in there, but we have to find out a way to balance that to keep it intriguing as well as um, figuring out what the mission is of this organization first. Because if there's enough people wanting to learn it, um, we may address that. Yeah.
You mentioned about celebrities. Can you tell us about your celebrity clients and experiences?
Yeah, I've performed for John Madden, George Lucas, Draymond Green, um, Paula Abdul, Timothy Ferris 4 times, um, and a lot of other people. Most recently, I performed for the founder of Zoom. Oh, I met him live in person, and he was the first person to walk through the door. And he was really impressed because he didn't think magic could be so engaging. He thought of magic it really cheesy or magic of the olden days. So when I surprised them with some of the newest things, and these are new things that are even new for me, things that have just popped on, things that I'm doing with cell phones. For example, one trick that I do is I have um, the phone. I'm not going to do it for you right now, but I'll wave my hand over my phone like this, and I won't touch the phone, but it'll start dialing your phone number. So you're going to see
Oh,
that in my next YouTube video of me performing that live at Westfield Mall. So that,
okay.
and this is like, not touching the phone, and we just met today, and my finger invisibly touching the phone and dialing it. That to me is really different, a different texture of magic.
Is that some part of a mind reading power to do that?
Yeah, I in some ways, yes, because I say think of your next number, and it's like, oh, think of the next number in your phone number, and it's a two or whatever. I continue that, so it's not just like, oh, I wave my hand and it immediately dials a phone number. There's a little bit of a theatrical build, and that part is mind reading.
Amazing. Truly amazing. Where is your website? And how do people book with you for the next private shows?
Yeah, I'm at danchanmagic.com for more traditional magic, but for my mentalism and mind reading, I'm at millionairesmentalist.com with a plural, millionaires mentalist.
What's the differences? One for
Well,
the
Dan Chan Magic has more traditional magic, but for the higher end thing, I have a different brand or branding because I used to go by Dan Chan the Magic Man, and then
okay.
I pivoted to Dan Chan Master Magician. But as I'm doing more mind reading and mentalism, I wanted to keep those brands distinct, kind of like Toyota and Lexus. You have a higher end brand of something, and then on that page has a little bit more things that are more unique. So if you're looking for a magician, you might just be looking for one of my team members, or um, a more standard show, maybe a show that plays bigger and floating a table. So I feel those brands don't really fit together. Although sometimes when I customize a package for someone, you might blend both worlds together just so that it plays big enough. Sometimes people want both. So
So
yeah.
are both sites offer in person and
Yes,
virtual? Okay.
the I label it as a magic show virtually, but it's actually a more mind reading show. So it the distinction is more in person. My virtual show really doesn't change too much. Although I do have a show with my son who's 16 years old. At age 5, he was juggling 3 balls. At age 8, he was juggling 5 balls. By age 10, he was juggling 3 flaming torches and picking pockets. Recently, he was on television on Me Time with Kevin Hart, Mark Wahlberg, Regina Hall. So he's on television. He's also been on TV performing for Penn and Teller. So to get back to my point is, on my virtual shows, sometimes I'll have a family version, and that has a little bit more traditional magic of my son performing the linking rings, and he might juggle. But since he's in high school now, and the last 3 years in the pandemic, before he went to high school, he was homeschooled. So he was actually just jumping in and I would say, James, come on over, do a trick for them. And he did so many shows, which got him, one, really good and really confident. I love people to just pick up the phone call, jump on the call, and book a virtual demo. You saw a little of what I did right here, but on a Zoom demo, I'll do a lot more, and I can talk to people about their event, whether they have a big stage or if it's close up. I want to find out more about the event so I can customize things, because there's certain things like I can customize the name of the company into the event, or small little facts, or the goals of what's happening. So with finding more about the client can give you a really good custom solution. And I like doing custom solutions. It's kind of like off the shelf. You can buy a shirt off the shelf, but it doesn't fit as well. And with companies and with people who really want to appreciate their clients or appreciate their teams, you want a custom solution.
What kind of event you normally go?
Coming up, I'm flying to Virginia to do a show. I'm also going to San Diego to do a show. Last month I was in Virginia, and I think before that I was in Texas. But we've been to Germany, Shanghai, Las Vegas, Texas, Utah, Colorado. I travel all around the world to do these shows, and it's whatever clients want. I'm open and I love new things. So the show's constantly evolving, and I'm also constantly evolving.
I just saw you have bubble with the thumbs up on your screen. How did you do that?
That's magic. So I have different, that's actually native to Zoom. But I do have a lot of things that I can plug in. So before the show, I can play a pre-show video. In fact, I wish I had this ahead of time. Maybe we can edit it in. But I have this thing where I can put videos and screen overlays and a lot of things that are not native to Zoom, but it's called OBS. And OBS is what streamers use to stream to Twitch. So you can add what we call lower thirds. So I could put a really big bar. Instead of the Daniel Chan you see right here on the bottom of the page, you can actually, right here, this is a small text that's native in Zoom. You can make it a lot bigger right here. And those are called lower thirds. And I have those when I'm running a magic show over Zoom.
That's fun, right? You can put other messaging in there?
Yeah, you can do scrolling bars. You can do a lot. When we jump off the recording, I'm going to show you personally some of the things I do. And I think this would add a lot of production value to your Zoom interviews. Maybe I can help you with that. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Dan, very much for your time today. That was fun.
Thanks, Daphne.
Yeah, I hope that more people know you and book with you for all the fun entertainments you do.
Thank you.
And you're a magician and a pickpocket.
Dan Chan.
Dan Chan.
Dan Chan.
Dan Chan.
Dan Chan. Dan Chan.
Dan Chan, the magic man, corporate magician.
He's entertained clients from Elon Musk to Uber, even the Golden State
Dan
Warriors.
Chan, the magic man, corporate magician in San Fran. Dan Chan, the magic man, corporate magician in San Fran. Dan Chan, master magician, innovation mixed out tradition. Pick any card, you know that in an instant. Remove hat and the rabbits go missing. Shows are like camping, it's very intense. Blow your mind every virtual event. Billionaires ball in his audience.
What an unforgettable magic show. Get ready for something snazzy. Running the magic, feel like an athlete. Slide a hand so jazzy. How you do that trick? Don't ask me. Came with a boom, show on Zoom. It's like we made it a mission. Dan Chan, Silicon Valley's favorite magician. You're about to witness some real life magic. Nah, this is not a lie.